Let's bring in our next guest, Nina Perez-Reed. Hello, Nina. How are you?
Doing
another
great.
author, another local author of Out of the Shadows.
Yes.
I want you to tell people about your book.
It tells the story of a young immigrant girl who came from Mexico, dealt with bullying, child abuse, and just the many challenges of growing up, adjusting to the new language and culture. But I never gave up.
So the young girl is you.
The young girl was me.
You came from Mexico. What part of Mexico are you from?
I'm from Jalisco.
Okay, from Jalisco. How old were you when you moved from Jalisco to, Sanger?
Sanger,
Okay.
I was 9 years old, so I started the 4th grade when I first got here.
So they put you in 4th grade just because that was the age you were.
Right.
Not because that's where you were academically.
Right.
You come to Sanger and you don't speak any English, and they still throw you in the English class, right? And there's a lot of Hispanic children in this school, and these are the ones that started picking on you, were the Hispanic children, calling you things like wetback.
That's right. There was a young girl who will remain anonymous.
Does she still live in Sanger?
You know, I don't know.
You don't run into her?
I moved out of Sanger when I was in my 20s.
Okay.
But I was scared to go to school. I hated going to school because I knew that she would chase me around the campus and tell me go
yell
back to
that
Mexico.
at you, yell names that, but she's Mexican herself.
That's right.
Okay, and why do you think that she felt that it was necessary for her to pick on you racially? I don't get it.
It never made sense to me. To this day, I just think
Make herself feel better about herself, or
people just pick on
the weak one.
The weak ones, and I was the weak one at the time.
Did you know, being that you didn't speak good English, that this is what she was saying to you? Are there certain words that...
She would say mojada, wetback, mojada, go back to Mexico. So when she tell me those things, in my mind, I was creating stories as to why I didn't speak English. I was thinking, well, really, I was born here, but we went to Mexico and then came back. I was trying to find ways to defend myself.
Right.
Just because, well, which kid likes to be called names,
right,
and be chased around
Weren't
campus?
there any other kids, being that there was such a high Hispanic attendance from the... Weren't there other Hispanic kids that would stand up and say, no, don't call her that?
I don't remember anyone standing up for me.
Because she was popular?
I think so, but you know what? There were nice kids.
Mm-hmm.
There were a couple of kids who helped me, who translated for me, and as I said, I don't remember anyone trying to stop her. Maybe she did it when others were away from us. I don't remember. It's been too long.
You didn't complain, really?
And I didn't because I just didn't know. I didn't know.
You wanted to be accepted? You wanted to fit in, kind of?
Right.
Right, because little kids, they really don't want that much. Right.
Some of them are smart too. They try to beat up other kids when no one's watching.
I understand. Now, at what point did you take the reins and say, you know what, I'm not going to let this get to me anymore. I'm going to take over and write a book. And in this book, you wrote this book for other people, but you kind of wrote it for yourself, didn't you?
That's right. Even back then, I did a lot of self-talk. Positive self-talk is what got me through those tough times.
The people that say they don't talk to themselves, those are the crazy ones.
I know.
Right?
I had these images in my head. I would tell myself, one day you're going to learn English. One day, in 10 years, I always gave myself 10 years.
Okay.
In 10 years,
That's
you'll
fair.
speak English. In 10 years, you're going to be respected. And it's like I was creating the book in my head already. And then later, as I became an educator, I would always share my story, my life story of overcoming obstacles, of beating the odds. And I'd share my story, and slowly it just started to become my book, which is right here. And I want to show the back cover because I want to see if you can guess who I'm supposed to be on that picture.
Selena.
No.
Oh.
She does insurance commercials.
Oh, I didn't know. Who are you supposed to be? Flo.
I'm supposed to be Flo.
You're supposed to be Flo, right? I get it. Okay, why Flo?
Well, I was asked by the publisher, we need to get a picture for the book cover. And, I focused so much on the writing, on the editing, on everything, making it perfect, because I was an ESL teacher. So I did a lot of my own editing. And I found this picture, and I said, I'll just crop it, and I'll use it. Is it okay? And they loved it. And I was Flo for Halloween. I love dressing up for Halloween. And I just love Flo. She's so funny, and she's just so happy all the time. And I ended up using it.
How awesome. Now, tell me what people are saying that read your book, Nina.
What people have told me, one of the things that's really touched me the most when I go to my author talks is they start telling me, it makes me think about those experiences when, they start telling me their story. Just yesterday, I was talking to a gentleman. I volunteer at Arte Americas.
Okay.
And he was telling me, I remember when I was a kid and I was adopted into this family, and because I was the stepchild, they would treat me so badly. So as people are telling me those things, this gentleman hadn't even read the book, but he said he could relate to it. And other people that have read it, I had a third grade teacher who I teach Bible studies. She's my co-teacher, and she said it changed her perspective. It changed the way she sees her students. A lot of other people who've read it just tell me that it's really inspired them, and that it was brave of me to do it. And yes, there were times when I was getting ready to have the book published that I almost chickened out.
Why?
Because I knew that me telling my story, I'm going to be transparent about my life. I know that it's going to be painful for people to read it, especially my loved ones. I want them to know, in fact, my nephews and nieces.
Because you didn't tell them when this was happening?
Because it's not child abuse is not something that we, in our Mexican culture, that we go out and share with the world. It's a hidden secret. It's just not talked about. But for me and my healing process, I had to do this because I went through the pain. I went through the tough times. As a young girl, I had that positive thinking that it's never going to be it's not always going to be the same way. Things will get better. One day, you won't be treated this way. I just knew that I could get past that, and all those strategies I used, I wanted to be able to share with someone, look, when you go through tough times and you forgive yourself and you forgive others, it's like something's lifted off your shoulders. Because it's hard being resentful and bitter. It's like an illness that you just have every day, like a sack of potatoes that's rotten, and you just keep smelling it, and it just does not go away. But once you forgive, it just changes your life. That's why I wanted to share this book with others.
You're a pretty awesome person, Nina.
Thank you.
Okay, where can people find this book?
They can find it, as I was saying, Arte Americas. I'm a volunteer there. And it's a wonderful place for reading and seeing art. I go there, and I just sold 2 yesterday.
Good for you.
So I try to sell books when I'm at the little store at the tiendita, but it's also on Amazon.com. You can also go to heritagebuilderspublishing.com. You can find it there. If you would like to buy it at Barnes & Noble, you can, but you have to get the Nook book.
Go online. Oh, I'll get the e-reader.
Right. You have. They don't have the hard copies there yet. I'm hoping we get it there soon, so that I can have a book signing there.
You know what? I'd love to get this into the hands of that mean little girl from Sanger Elementary.
I would too.
I wonder if there's a way we could figure that out. We'll talk about that later on. Okay.
Yeah.
You brought a couple of books for giveaways, didn't you?
I did,
Okay.
and. I have 2 books that I would like to give away, and then I'll also autograph those. When I autograph those books, I always tell people it's not a hate story. It's a story of restoration, because before I found forgiveness, I didn't have a relationship with my dad, and today I do. And that's the power of forgiveness.
Thank you very much for coming by. It's
Thank
always
you.
good to talk to you. If you guys out there would like your own copy of Out of the Shadows by Nina Perez-Reed, call 579-1090 and we'll get you all hooked up. Thank you, Nina. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Stick around.